today's practice is a yin practice, and it's a really great one to do when you're feeling particularly tired or you've been ill, or really if you haven't moved your body in quite a while for whatever reason. So some of the poses we're doing today are going to be some of the more gentler yin poses. So, slightly easier versions of some hip openers. We'll kind of work through most of the body as well to iron out any kinks. I'm going to get started straight away. So crossing the right leg in front of the left. I'll just turn slightly to an angle so you can see. And then you're going to bring your legs, your feet, so that they're more towards the edges of the mat, and then shuffle the feet forward. So you're almost in like this square pose, right where we stack one leg on top of the other. This is a much gentler version of it. So just make sure you're rooted down through your sit bones. Right shin is in front of the left. And then see if you can just take the feet further towards the edges of your mat. So that right foot comes towards the left side, the left foot towards the right. And then move the legs forward as much as feels comfortable in your hips. And sitting up nice and tall, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, just slowly start to hinge forward. As much feels appropriate for you. So you can absolutely use some blocks here if you want to rest onto the blocks. And just making sure that you're lengthening that exhale. So we really send that signal to our brain to relax. In turn, the rest of our body starts to relax and our muscles will relax. Obviously with yin, we stay here for longer than we normally would. So there's no rush to go in at your full capacity. Just take your time and allow gravity to do the work for you. You might find you're able to fold a little bit deeper now. And the target area here really is the right outer hip and the glute area. Can be quite intense into the outer hip. So obviously the further you fold down, the more you'll feel it. Just focusing your attention inwards. If you're finding you're struggling with that, then give your mind a job to do. Maybe count your breath. Repeat an affirmation. Whatever it takes in order for you to be still. Just making sure that the sensations aren't too intense. We want them to be around 4 or 5 out of 10 in intensity. And then you can either stay here, or if you want to go a little bit deeper, we're going to walk the hands over towards the left side. So really reaching away with the fingers and folding our body towards the left. Just make sure though that the right hip isn't lifting up off the ground and nothing changes in the lower body. A slightly different sensation. And slowly walking the hands back to center if you had gone over to the left, and walking yourself back up. And place the hands down behind you and just unravel the legs. Bring the feet to the ground and we'll just windscreen wipe the legs from side to side. Maybe you can notice that one side feels slightly different now. Maybe you don't notice any difference at all. Lovely. And then we'll do that on the other side. So this time that left shin goes in front. Taking the feet towards either side of the mat. And then just walk the legs forwards just a little. So we get this really big, spacious cross leg shape. You're just sitting up nice and tall. Take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, start to hinge forwards. Remember, there's no rush. Allow your body to open up and unravel. This is why we spend longer in the poses. We're not forcing our body into a shape. We're allowing it to enjoy the journey there. Just notice if this side feels more or less intense than the first side. We're not symmetrical. It might feel really strange depending on which way you would naturally cross your legs. This is the opposite way for me that I would usually cross my legs. I just feel a little bit strange. Not painful or anything, just different. It does feel much more spacious on this side. And to really focus on that longer exhale. If you find all those little internal commentaries coming up, that little monkey mind, give it a job to do. So again, you can either stay exactly here or you're going to walk the hands and the upper body over towards the right now. Remembering the further down that you fold, the more intense this will be. Might be necessary just to back out a little bit. And just making sure that that left hip is firmly rooted to the ground. Make sure it hasn't just popped up as you came over towards the right. And then starting to walk the hands back to center and walking upper body back upright. Bring the hands down behind you, just like we did before. Take those feet wide and just drop the knees to one side and then the other. Lovely. And we're coming to a wide-legged forward fold now. I'm just going to grab my props. I feel like I might need them for this. So we're just going to start on the right side. So extending right leg out, and you can keep that left knee tucked in towards your body. Just move those so you can see. And then from here, we're just folding forwards. So we're not folding towards the extended leg, we're folding directly forwards. We're sitting up nice and tall to start. Take a nice inhale. And then exhale. Just start to hinge your way forwards. So you can use some support in front of you. Maybe you can come all the way down onto your forearms in front of you. Maybe, like me, you need something to just bridge that gap. Just remembering that principle of only coming to around 4 to 5 out of 10 in intensity. We're not pushing and pulling our body. We want to feel sensation, but we're not forcing it. Just allow time and gravity to do the work for us. And just notice how it feels for your head and your neck. Does your head need supporting at all? Maybe it feels nice just to drop the head and get that stretch into the back of the neck. Maybe you want to support your head, you can just rest it into your palms. Lots and lots of options. Just do what works for you. And relax the legs as much as you can. You just notice if it feels a bit intense and you're kind of bracing and clenching. If you are, then just back out a little bit until you feel like you can relax the muscles in your legs. We don't want to be fighting against our own bodies. Which, let's face it, feels like pretty much most of the time at the moment. Just one big battle. So any kind of forward fold is amazing for the adrenal glands and kind of like the kidneys and the liver, which are all kind of at the back of the body. It's really nourishing for them. So particularly if you're feeling fatigued, that can be a lot down to our adrenal glands and yeah, just not getting enough support because they're overused. The adrenal glands create cortisol, which is one of our stress hormones. So if you've been particularly stressed out, you don't necessarily need to be stressed out right now, but if you have been, then the adrenals will have been overworked, and forward folds are just a really great way to support your body, just to allow some fresh blood flow to that area and oxygen. Maybe find after a bit of a time that you don't actually need your props anymore. You can fold a little bit deeper. You don't have to. You don't need to strive to get deeper into a pose if you're comfortable and it feels good. Stay exactly where you are. Folding further into the pose is not going to make it more effective at all. You're still working the same tissues, the same areas of the body. Take about another 5 breaths here. And then slowly starting to walk back up. You can just extend the other leg for a moment, give them a little bit of a jiggle, a bit of a shake. And then before we do the other side, we're going to do a side lying pose. So you're just going to swing the legs on around to the right. I have to think about that. Just come onto that left forearm, extend your legs out. So you're coming to lie directly on your side. We're lying on our left side. Stack the feet. And then the right hand comes in front. And then from here, you're just going to press up. It doesn't look like much, but you're going to start to feel it from the outer hip on the left side and all the way up the side of the body. You may need to have a blanket or something on your mat, because if you're anything like me, this is like quite uncomfortable actually, but I'm here now, I'm stopping. You need to pause and grab yourself a blanket. Go ahead and do that. It depends how bony you are, really. How much your bones stick out, and that's nothing to do with how much fat is around that area either, believe me. It's still, if you're quite a sticky out bone person, it'll find a way, no matter how much fat's there. Just seeing if you can slow down that exhale. And if this is too intense, having the left arm straight, then by all means come back down onto your forearm or somewhere in between. If you want to go a little bit deeper, then you're going to bring that left hand closer to your body. So you're almost kind of sitting upright. Just see where works for you. Take some really nice deep breaths into the chest area. This is a great pose for kind of opening up this area so we can breathe more freely. But particularly if you've been ill as well, that can be really nice just to kind of open up the chest and the lung area. See. And then we're just going to lower back down. Extend that left arm out long. You can just rest your head onto your arm, maybe bend the knees. Just pause here for a couple of breaths. And then using your hands just to press your way back up. And come into that wide leg forward fold again. So extend the left leg out long this time. Right foot comes in towards the body. Sitting up nice and tall. Nice deep breath in. And then as you exhale, folding forward. And again, it might feel completely different on this side. Just start off gently. And if you're using props like I am, you can just change the height as you get more into the pose. And again, just seeing how it feels for your head and neck. Maybe you need to support your head. Maybe you prefer to let it drop. Just really checking in with the entire body, making sure there's nothing distracting you that you could do something about. Maybe if this knee is bothering you, you could change that in some way, maybe support it with a cushion. If it's really hurting to have your knee bent at this angle, then you could just extend the leg out long if you wanted to. Just turn your attention inwards. There's 5 more breaths here. And slowly walking. The hands back in, lifting the body. You just extend that right leg out. And again, just give the legs a little bit of a wiggle and a jiggle. And then we'll take that sideline stretch on the other side. So just swinging the legs round to the left, coming onto the right forearm. One long line with the body, stacking the feet. And then from here, push your way up. Remember, if you want to make it more intense, you can walk that right hand closer to your body. You want to make it less intense, and you can bend the elbow or come back down onto the forearm. This is one of those poses where you can actually kind of dump your weight. So you're really pressing into this right supporting arm. You can really kind of let this part of your body just slump into it, and you'll get more of a stretch. Just make sure that you're not causing any extra tension around the shoulders or the neck, though. And again, nice deep breaths into that chest and lung area. It feels a bit intense as well for your wrist, then maybe you could make a fist. Maybe that'll take some of the pressure out of your wrist. Maybe give a little bit of support to your wrist. We won't be here for much longer though. And gently come down onto that forearm. From here, we're just going to roll onto our front and come into a Sphinx pose. So just resting the forearms and the palms on the ground. Really pressing into any parts of the body that are touching the mat. And think of drawing the chest in between the arms. That feels really tight in the lower back. See if you can lengthen the tailbone by pressing the pelvis into the ground. And think of squeezing the shoulder blades back behind you. It might feel nice here to drop the head and get that stretch into the back of the neck. And although we always resolve to be still in a pose, this is one of those where I do like to make a little bit of movement in my neck. If there's something that feels good for your neck, go ahead and do that. And then from here, you're just going to make a little pillow with the hands. You can rest your head onto the pillow and then bend the knees and just sway the legs gently side to side. Just releasing that lower back. Lovely. And then we're going to come onto our back, so you could just roll over wherever you are. If you're a bit OCD like me, I like to be a certain way around on my mat. It's not necessary. So just coming onto your back, I'm going to take a lie-in twist. So you're going to wrap that right leg over the left, arms come out to the sides, and then you're just going to allow the legs to drop towards the left. Just notice maybe if you need a little bit of support underneath the legs. If it feels okay, just allow them to be where they are. We'll most likely move closer towards the ground with time. But just making sure that both of your shoulders are on the ground, chest is facing up, and that you're able to breathe fully. If your breathing feels restricted in any way, just back out a little bit. And if this feels too much for you, then unravel the legs. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Slowly lifting the knees back up to center. Unravel the legs. Just draw the knees in towards the chest. Just wrapping your arms around the legs. Have a little rock. Okay, placing the feet back down. We'll go to the other side. Wrapping the left leg over the right this time. Arms come out to the sides. And just allowing the knees to drop over to the right. Both shoulders on the ground. Just noticing how it feels. If it's a little too intense, you can always unravel the legs. So relaxing the legs as much as you can. Just notice if you're gripping and clenching. Can you release that? Can you soften? Three more breaths here. And gently bringing the legs back to center, unravel. Just like we did before, bringing those knees in towards the body. Just have a gentle rock. Mm. Great. And then we're coming to our final yin yoga pose, which is a supported fish. You can do this with cushions, but if you want to really kind of get into your shoulders and your chest area, then I would advise using blocks. It is less uncomfortable, obviously, but these blocks aren't too bad. And kind of want to lay both your blocks lengthways. Normally, I would suggest having the one for the head that way, but in this case, we're going to have it lengthways because we'll be taking our arms overhead, and it can be nice to just have that support for the arms to be a bit hard to comprehend until you're in the pose. So we'll come down. So you want this block to come roughly where your bra strap is. So it just takes a little bit of maneuvering. And then you want this other block to be supporting your head. So just make sure that that is the case. You've got this really big lift in the chest. So just getting yourself comfortable. Try and make sure that that block is directly between the shoulder blades. And then you can take the arms up overhead. It might feel nice to take opposite elbows with opposite hands and just rest them on the back of the block. And then the legs, you can either keep them bent, maybe you extend them out long, or maybe you bring the soles of the feet together and allow the knees to drop out. Whatever variation works for you. Again, just focusing on your breath. See if you can relax your body. If there's feelings of discomfort from the blocks, just see if you can let that go. And just focus on the other sensations in your body. And if for whatever reason it doesn't feel right or safe in your body to have your arms up overhead, then just allow them to drop down to the ground. Very, very common for women to get something called frozen shoulder during perimenopause. There's not really any known reason for it either, but it's incredibly common. So you might find that your shoulders are less mobile or more painful. And taking your arms up overhead becomes a real challenge. If that is the case, then don't force it. These things do pass with time. Honor where your body's at. I'll just take another minute here. And very slowly start to make your way out. You can bring the elbows onto the ground. Keep the chin tucked towards the chest. And just lift yourself on up. It's a bit of a tricky one to come out of. And then just getting rid of your props, move them to one side. And we're going to come to Savasana. Ideally lying completely on your back without any support. Just so we can allow the body to come back to its natural state. If you do have any niggles, maybe the lower back, then by all means, bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet as wide as your mat and just let the knees drop together. Otherwise, just taking up some space on your mat. Allowing the body to be heavy. Take a deep breath in. Exhale out through the mouth. Do that twice more. With each exhale, letting the body sink deeper into the ground. And just allowing the breath to return to its natural rhythm. Just allowing it to ebb and flow. Allow the mind to wander. you have longer to spare, then by all means stay where you are. Otherwise, just starting to deepen the breath. Bringing back some small movements. Just becoming aware of the space that you're in once more. Maybe taking a full body stretch. Maybe it feels good to curl up into a little ball. And then rolling onto one side when you're ready to, pausing for a few moments. There's no rush. And using your arms to press back up to a seat whenever you're ready to. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. I really hope that you found it helpful, and I shall see you soon.